Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of the Robins Report podcast. It's episode 5, and as you can see why we're here, but we would be here either way anyway. But the reason, yes, it is a very special episode is one, our boys have gone and done the job, something that we will really break down shortly. And also, you know, it's live. It's the first ever live one. We want to get you guys involved, so we will get your comments in. So if you've got comments, you know, throughout the show, please do get involved. Just don't comment on the sun because it's really hurting my eyes at the moment. But never mind, you can't control everything in life. But yeah, as I said, welcome everybody. Robins Report, sponsored by Luke 1977. We all know about Luke. I go on about it enough. You can visit luke.com at luke1977.com and go and shop their newest collection. Some great clothes on there. And yeah, tell them we sent you. And we'll all very much appreciate it. So, without further ado, this week, as you can see, I am joined by the man himself, Mr. John Palmer. JP, how are we?
I'm very well, thank you, Tom. It's been a pretty enjoyable week so far.
Yeah,
how are you?
Needless to say, it's been a crazy one. Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing really well. Obviously, slightly gutted. I'm not back at home for the obvious reasons, but you know, you got to earn a penny in life, I guess. But yeah, we all celebrate in our own ways. And even though I'm not there, I have got a celebration to do. So before we do get into it,
Tom, you got any curtains?
It's horrendous. I might have to move a little bit, but I don't want to take away my memorabilia in the back. But yeah. So before we do, obviously it's the first time we spoke, JP, since Tuesday, and like I said, we will get into that. I couldn't be there to celebrate. I couldn't celebrate anywhere. Couldn't really do it on my own outside here because I'd look a right wally. So got something special. I said it'd be special. So for the board of directors, Chairman Andy Wilcox, the Director of Football Mickey Moore, all the staff behind the scenes at Cheltenham, the medical staff, the sports science team, Russell Milton, Steve Book, Wade Elliott, all the players, the King himself, Michael Duff, and of course for you fans, done it. Absolutely chuffed to bits. This one's for you. Cheers.
Nicely done, Tom.
Oh, how sweet does that feel? Not quite the way, you know, it went down on Tuesday, but I got to clean up. You know what I mean? So got to keep it muted somehow, JP, haven't we? Right? But yeah, before we do go into that, I just want to rattle through some quick news and make it as quick as I can so we can get into the really good stuff. So as you all know, from 3 p.m. tomorrow, there's a social media boycott. A lot of clubs in the country and a lot of organisations are doing it. Town are obviously doing it as well. So from 3 p.m. tomorrow until Monday 11:59, I believe, there'll be a complete social media blackout for a cause that I think we can all agree is big and it does need to be looked at. It's to stop online abuse. A lot of people do it and there's no ramifications, or I don't know what the proper word is there, but there's no backlash to the people that go out there and do this. So I think it's a great thing. The Robins Report page will be doing it. I'll be doing it. Let's do what we got to do to stop this, to keep happening to everybody, you know, because it isn't a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. And we've moved on from the age of where that's a thing to do, in my opinion. Also, the Brian Jacob Cup, the Cheltenham Town Supporters Player of the Year Award is also open now. We spoke about it previously on the show. A lot of people were asking me about who my Player of the Year was. I didn't really beat around the bush. You know, there's only one player for me that I think personally has been incredible this year and deserves it. Although JP, and I did agree with you, you argued anybody could have got it. Anybody could have got it, and anybody can get it. There's a lot of players that do deserve it. Unfortunately, we can't make it a team one. So, yeah, if you guys want to vote as well, make sure you do so. robinstrust.org, or you can go on their Twitter. The link's on there. It's on the club website. Go and do that. Yeah, moving on from that one. Today, this is big news, actually. Today, it was announced. I did sort of have a conversation with somebody about it the other day when we noticed something wasn't quite right. But after 19 years associated with the club as a player and now as commercial director, it was announced that John Finnegan is set to leave his role as commercial manager at the end of the season. And with that, I just want to say, Finners, everything you've done since day one, top bloke, incredible player, one of my favourites, one of the best I've ever seen. Thank you for everything you've done, and you'll be sorely missed. JP, how do you feel about this one? That's a long time.
Yeah, I'm sure he will still continue to be associated with the club as well. I don't think it will be the end of his association with the club. Hopefully it won't be, because what a player he was for the club. The only man to play in both the playoff campaigns that were successful, the first two in 02 and 06. And he played in all 4 seasons that Cheltenham have had in League One so far. And obviously they're now going to be going back there for a new crack at it. But he played a huge part in the club's history, lifted the trophy in 06, and also played a massive part in Cheltenham staying up in League One in 07, 08, 06, 07, 07, 08. Had a few injury problems, went off to Kidderminster, worked in the area, didn't he, at Winchcombe School, and then started working for the club. And when he joined the club, I was actually there as a media manager when John first joined Cheltenham Town. So I worked with him briefly before I went back to the Gloucestershire Echo as sports editor, and he's a top bloke. And I hope that we see him around a lot at Wadden Road, and he's still a big friend of the club, because he's one of the great figures in our recent history. So wish him all the best with whatever he does next.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's actually, I believe he's still involved at Winchcombe, isn't he? I think, last I heard. Yeah, last I heard he was still involved up there. But yeah, best wishes, Finners, absolute legend at this club. And that word gets thrown around a lot, but for a guy like that, I think you can cement it in without a doubt. And JP, just something I noticed earlier before we came on, another bit of news. So Town have had a former Bolton, Bury and Chorley attacking midfielder Malachi McKenzie on trial, and apparently he's impressed. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, he played in the Bristol Rovers training ground friendly with the sort of development team. So he played with some of the young pros in that. Sounded like he did quite well. I wasn't at the game, but it sounded like he did quite well. We also made one appearance, I think, for the under-18s against Forest Green. And I think they were quite impressed with him. He's only 17, so if they brought him in, he'd probably want to be in and around the first team, but he'd probably be brought in as a development player, one for the future, maybe get him out on loan. I don't think he's been given a no. I think they've told him that he's got a few things he needs to work on. And my feeling from the situation is it might depend on whether Felix Miles leaves the club. Now, there has been some interest in Felix Miles from Derby. And I think there are a few other clubs interested in him as well. I think if he goes, then Malachi McKenzie-Taylor might be brought in. He's a similar sort of player. Whereas if Felix stays on, goes into the second year of his scholarship, he's a real talent. He's still got another year before they would need to make a decision on whether he was going to go pro or not.
Yeah.
So I think it might depend on that. They were impressed with him. He's been on trial at a few other clubs, as you might have seen in the story, Tom. He's been on trial at Blackburn, Burnley, Fulham. Yeah. Sounds like an exciting one. Sounds like he was very unlucky with what happened at Bury, when obviously he was there as a scholar and the club, really sadly went out of existence.
Yeah, they did, yeah.
So that's going to be awful for a young lad, or awful for everyone associated with the club, obviously. But he then went to Chorley and was sort of impressed there enough in the under-19s to get himself in and around the first team at 16 years old. He's made a few appearances in National League North. He was on the bench for their, what an experience for a lad on the bench for their FA Cup game against Wolves. In the 4th round. So a lot of people remember Chorley's FA Cup exploits, knocked out three Football League clubs on their way to the 4th round. Incredible run. So, yeah, I haven't seen him play, but he sounds like quite an exciting talent. And I think the door is potentially still open for him at Cheltenham, but he's not. I don't think he'd be one that would be straight into the first team next season. But he could be one to bring in, develop, bring him through. Maybe definitely seems like he's got some talent. So one to keep an eye on, but maybe his situation will be affected by Felix Miles' position at the club as well. Yeah,
I agree. It's probably about that sort of situation, because there's a lot around Felix Miles as well. Obviously, congratulations to him, Apprentice of the Year this week. Brilliant. Yeah. And we've all seen how good he is, the potential that he's got. And I know you mentioned previously, and you just did there, that there's a lot of interest in him. A very, very good technical player. You can see that he's got that ability, and he's the ability to learn as well. It's is also something that I liked about him. But yeah, like you said, it's one to watch, I guess. It's not a no. It's a monitoring situation. I think you wrapped it up in the article.
Yeah, I mean the academy can be quite pleased with what they've done. Talking about Felix, because George Lloyd obviously started the game on Tuesday, come through the academy. Tom Chamberlain, Grant Horton have been in and around the first team squad all season, really, other than loan spells that they've had, which have obviously been affected by the non-league season finishing. But They had Evans Harriet moved to Coventry recently, which was good. Bubbles, as everyone calls him, came through the academy and got moved to Coventry. In recent years, Luke Thomas has come through, gone to Derby and now Ipswich. He's been at Barnsley and been on loan at Ipswich, back at Barnsley now. So it's. I think they can be quite proud. Everyone's crying out for a Gloucestershire lad or an academy product. Callum Ebanks is one I haven't mentioned yet. He's obviously got himself a 3-year professional contract as well. So they're obviously doing something right. It'd be really nice to have another Lloydie, but Lloydie is setting the standard really, and it's nice to have a Gloucestershire lad playing quite regularly for the first team. That's what everyone's crying out for. I mean, they have to be good enough. You can't just do it because they're Gloucestershire lads or they're local lads, but George Lloyd definitely there on merit, and hopefully there'll be a few more coming through in the next few years. That's what everyone wants. I think that's one of the big things Michael Duff wants to add in. Yeah, is more of a production line. Although there is a lot of good work going on. I think we've discussed it before, Tom, that often if there's a real outstanding talent, they'll get snapped up at a younger age. It's happened quite a few times over the years. They haven't made it through to professional level because they've gone to bigger clubs earlier on, like Luke Thomas. But I think it would be nice to have a
Jamie Edge was another one as well, wasn't it?
Jamie Edge, Jamie Edge. But Callum Ebanks is certainly one to keep an eye on. He's going to be around for a while. Big physical striker, raw talent, pretty late comer to the game. So he's going to benefit from another season's coaching, and hopefully, he can start knocking on the door. Because I don't think he was far off it at times this season. Obviously, him and Felix have both appeared for the first team in the trophy. So yeah, well done to the academy. Keep up the good work. Something's obviously been done right there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great academy. It really is, and I like it because basically, in my opinion, you look back over the history of the club, the foundations were built kind of off local lads, and if we can continue that tradition, it's only a positive thing for me.
Definitely.
But talking about a positive thing, should we get into it? I've been waiting for this. So Tuesday night's game, I don't want to skip too far ahead, obviously, but it was plain and simple. Town needed a point to secure automatic promotion and go up to League One for the first time since 2009, but more importantly, for the first time ever, automatically. Duffy going into the game unchanged, didn't want to upset the apple cart, maybe. I don't know what it was. But yeah, unchanged team. And it was plain and simple. Point, you're up. Win, you're up. And, you're cementing your place at the top. So I want to talk a little bit about the starting lineup, because I said on the live show previously, prior to the game, I felt I wouldn't have been surprised if it was unchanged, but I felt that maybe Callum Wright would have started the game, because I feel no offense to Finn. I love Finn. I think he's a great young lad, very good player in his own right. No pun intended. But with Cal, I just feel going forward, he offers that little bit more. He's got that little bit of something about him that just catches the eye, and he's got the ability to, like we saw against Tranmere, although I'm not going to say that's the only thing he's done, but that, that intent to put a shot in. I feel it's more attacking with Cal. I feel that it's more attacking going forward, and it works. Obviously, Sirks goes forward as well, doesn't he? That's what Sirks likes to do. So when you've got the two that go forward in a game that you want to dominate, it's there. And I felt that we needed to do that. We needed to go at Carlisle, because Carlisle, they set up as a 3-5-2, obviously trying to go with a matching man for man. Manager Chris Beach said after the game, that the reason why they went 3-5-2 was the fact of they saw what Bradford did. They come here, and he also mentioned the Barrow game as well, where to get a couple of games we've lost at home, the opposition played 3-5-2. So I found that quite interesting. But to my point, again, sorry, I always sidetrack, that. But I felt Callum Wright probably should have started. And I did say that I would have started Andy Williams. And as well as it went down in the chat, in the comments, I did feel that this was a game where, with that experience and, what we needed to do to get over the line, I felt maybe this was a game where Williams could show what he brings to the team. But ultimately, Michael Duff disagreed. He decided that he was going to go unchanged. How did you feel when you saw the unchanged lineup?
Yeah, I was half expecting potentially Williams or Wright to come in. Those are the only two possible changes. But he does quite like to stick with the winning team, the winning starting 11. Whether he actually got it right or not is open for debate now, isn't it? Because he had to make a change at half time. The first half wasn't great, but Cheltenham won the game in the end. Got what they needed in the end, got the point in the end. Felt like they won. They didn't, but it felt like they won. But yeah, I think I was chatting to Joycey at half time and I said that Duff doesn't normally make really early subs. He normally leaves it till fairly late on, or at the earliest midway through the second half. But I felt like he was going to make a change at half time because it has to be said the first half was very poor, and you've got to give Carlisle some credit for that. I also watched Chris Beech's interview, and I think he said 4 of the 5 teams that have won at Whaddon Road have played 3-5-2 this season. Yeah. When Cheltenham first started playing 3-5-2, they played against Bury, who were playing the same formation, and Bury were obviously a very good team at the time, and they up at their place, they completely outplayed Cheltenham. But now, normally, you find that if teams try and match up Cheltenham can do it better. But there have been a few teams that have come and caused Cheltenham problems this season with that formation. But Carlisle were really good in the first half, and I was worried that Cheltenham weren't going to get the job done. Really good header from Coyote for the goal, and Cheltenham didn't offer a huge amount. Josh Griffiths wasn't pulling off save after save or anything like that, but they were definitely on top. So I wasn't really surprised to see Alfie May come on at half time. It's not, as Michael Duff said, it wasn't all George Loyes' fault. He wasn't a bad performer in a good team performance. It just didn't quite happen. Maybe, understandably in a way, it was a little bit nervy, a little bit of anxiety that have been in the last 2 games potentially. And we were also looking at when the last time Cheltenham came from behind to win a game was. And they haven't had to do that very often, mainly because they've been so solid and not let many goals in. But Walsall away was the last time I think they came back from a goal down to win 2-1 with Smith and Wright both scoring. So, but Smith's done well, hasn't he? But I think Michael quite likes the ability to send on, psychologically, being able to send on the top 2 goal scorers from the bench. Both got 8 each in the second half when you need a goal. Yeah, is a good position to be in, isn't it? But it's been good. He's rotated all of them. We've seen the different pairings that he's tried, all of them together, various times in the season. With what you said about Callum and Finn, it's very difficult to sort of pick one that's better than the other because Michael sometimes needs them for different roles, doesn't he? Slightly different roles. But I think one thing we can say is that although Finn has taken a couple of goals well at Orient and Millwall, I think Callum has got more of a goal threat. He's got more of that unpredictability. Yeah. Finn's obviously a bit bigger, probably a bit, I don't know, he's got other strengths, but I think Callum's numbers in terms of end product have been really good since he came in January. So he did really well when he came off the bench against Colchester as well. So I must admit, I agree, Tom. I was wondering whether there might be a couple of changes. He stuck with the same team, got the job done, but they did definitely improve. It's one of the most fascinating games of the season because Carlisle were really good in the first half. Cheltenham equalised, and then Carlisle had to completely change. They completely shut up shop before the free kick. Obviously, they needed a win. Hussey scores. I know we'll talk more about the goal in a minute, but Hussey equalises, and then suddenly Carlisle have to just chuck about 8 men forwards, and it was they hit the bar. There was Cheltenham had a couple of breaks ended by terrible fouls, which the Carlisle probably player needed to do because Cheltenham were breaking in numbers. Charlie Raglan nearly scored, Matty Blair nearly scored, and it was fascinating. It was end to end stuff. Carlisle chucked everything at it, and I think Stevenage impressed me. Yeah, but I think Carlisle impressed me, and I think although Chris Beech winds people up a little bit, I think they'll be decent next season again. I think they'll be up there. Yeah, I agree. And what you said there about Cheltenham not being very good in the first half, I felt, did they feel the pressure? And I didn't think this team could feel pressure because every time they need a result, they just go out and get it. And that's one thing that I have always said, and I will say, regardless of what happens, in the next 2 games, when we need something, we can go and get it. And there's always confidence that the confidence in this team is high. There's always confidence. But I felt, it was a bit of an anti-climax in the build-up to the game in the sense of I thought we were poor first half. We didn't do anything. We didn't really string much together. I think you're right in the sense that Michael Duff had to change something at half-time, and unfortunately it had to be Lloyd, which I do get the change, and it made sense. But I think starting him to begin with was the right decision because
he hasn't played bad over the last 2-3 games he's played. You know, he hasn't been bad. He scored. And how can you expect a player, and I said this on Twitter in the week, about people saying, oh, take Lloyd out, take Lloyd out. But how can you expect a player to be the goal scorer and get a bit in the form that they need to be in if you're chopping and changing him every time, every other game? You need a decent run. I think he's had a decent run, and the change did need to be made. And I felt that it did change the course of where this game was going. And I got to say, Coyote, what a header, great header. I mean, many goalkeepers in this league would struggle to save them, let alone Josh Griffiths, who's like tall as a mountain, isn't he? Let's be honest. But they had a fair few. They had a good couple of chances, and it could have, in some ways, it could have been worse at half time. So I think Michael Duff did sense that, and he obviously made the changes. And then going into the second half, I thought we were much better, much more intent. You know, we wanted to go at him. All that nervousness, whatever Michael Duff said at half time, along with making the change, it worked. We almost saw a different side of him. And I felt the goal itself was absolutely incredible. I mean, we over the years, we've been treated to so many great free set piece takers, you know, great free kicks. Grant McCann, especially in the time I've been watching Cheltenham. And it was just wow. It was just one of them wow moments because he hits it underside of the bar and you're thinking, where's that going to go? You know, when you know it's not your day, and when you're thinking how the first half went, where we looked a bit tense, everything seemed to be showing maybe a little crack in this. It was like, if that goes out, you just know it's one of those type of days. Fortunately, it doesn't. It goes in. I think everybody goes absolutely crazy. The bench is up. Everyone's going mad. And from that point on, I felt that we probably could have won the game. You mentioned there, Blair's chance forced a great save. I'm sure it was Blair when it forced a great save from their keeper. And that again, on a different day, that goes in. It's one of them, really. But
it's in the comments. Sam, and Gav, nice to see you. And Gav, if you're shopping for your nan, good luck with that. Hopefully you can still listen. But
yeah, I did put that up on the screen, actually. We'll put it back up on there. I love that. That's brilliant. But yeah, I felt after the goal, I thought we were much better. I felt we could have won the game. Obviously, we didn't, but like you mentioned, it felt like a win, especially with the chance that Carlisle had in the last minute or so. You know, Coyote again, header off the bar. It's just, I've got to be honest, he's a very good player. Actually, I was very impressed with him.
Yeah, Callum Guy was good as well, wasn't he?
And Callum Guy was good as well, very good. I thought Carlisle were good. Is a draw a fair result? Maybe,
because
not.
I think they were probably slightly the better team overall because they dominated the first half. Well, dominating might be stretching it. They were well on top in the first half. Then Cheltenham improved, but then Carlisle it was very difficult to judge in terms of actual possession or anything like that. But they just chucked everything at it. They had to. Yeah. I think they will probably feel like they could have won it, but yeah, I think when the two real moments of quality really were the header and the free kick. Yeah. Hussey hasn't scored all season. His deliveries, he's set plenty up, but his deliveries are always good. But his free kicks, he hasn't scored one since Colchester. He scored one at Mansfield, brilliant goal. Colchester was even better, but now he'll go down in history with the likes of Duff against Yeovil, Guinan against Grimsby. Yeah, all those famous goals. Grayson against Rushden. The Doncaster game with Paul Connor, Stephen Gillespie and Paul Connor scoring in 2-1. All those memorable moments, those key goals. Jason Eaton at Wembley. Yeah. Lee Howells, who I can see a couple of shirts up behind you. He certainly scored some memorable goals. But I think Hussey's put himself in there now with that free kick because it just he just picked the perfect moment to score his first goal of the season. And there's not many players that could score goals like that.
Yeah, brilliant. What a moment to get your first goal of the season. Couldn't have picked it any better, could he really? Let's be honest. And it was one, like you said, that made history. And then obviously full time wraps around and absolute scenes happen. JP, you were there. What was it like? It must have been absolutely incredible to see.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure how big they were going to go on the celebrations because of what Duff had said after the Colchester game. So I saw that they were preparing some banners and stuff, and the display for them to stand proudly and have some photos taken. And I think Duff told them to just go and enjoy it, because this might not happen very often. So go and enjoy it. So I knew then they were going to go for it. But the highlight of the night definitely was the scenes at the edge of the car park. So I actually was stood up in the main stand watching it from the side of the main stand most of the time.
Right. Yeah.
But I could hear the fans over one rec during the game. A few fireworks went off.
Yeah.
There was a great firework display on Cleve Hill later on in the evening as well, which was amazing. But it was just it felt like there were thousands. It sounded like there were thousands of them out there.
Yeah.
Probably only maybe about 100.
I think Michael just said a couple of hundred there, wasn't there, or something?
Yeah, maybe 100, 200, but it sounded like thousands. And that, as Tozer said this morning, it felt even more special than if they'd been in the ground, because they've been kept away. Such a difficult season for everyone. And it felt like a real sort of, we missed you, we're here, thanks. It felt like it was for the fans.
Yeah.
Michael Duff obviously stole the show with his dance, but all the players were. Just see how much it meant to them. But those fans that turned out, I think everyone was pretty sensible, really. I don't think anybody overstepped the mark, and it all went off without any trouble, all very good-natured. And then they came back in and they did have a few drinks, but I was still sat in the stand typing away when Michael Duff went home at about midnight, and I don't think it was a 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning job. It was a few drinks, bit of a song and dance with some music on, and then back in for training today to try and get the job done. So it was a great night, but I think after the Harrogate game, if they've lifted the trophy, that will be the properly letting their hair down.
Yeah.
Probably do it for 2 days, solid celebrations, and hopefully they can go on to do it. But it was still, in the most difficult of seasons, to be that consistent. Incredible achievement. Tozer, 44 starts out of 44.
Incredible.
He was doing the songs. He was the DJ on Tuesday night with the on his phone, making sure everyone got the songs they wanted. I could just hear it. I could just hear it. I could see some of the scenes of celebration, but mainly I was just listening to it. And you can just tell how close they are as a bunch as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Every single one of them gets on with everyone else. So it's you can see why they've been so successful on the pitch.
Absolutely, and it's that togetherness with the class that they are. It definitely shows through why they are where they are and what they're about to achieve. Well, what they have achieved, and what they could be about to go on and do. But like you said, Michael Duff did keep it a bit down. He said the 8th of May. He said it today, didn't he, in the press conference? You can celebrate when the medal's around your neck on the 8th of May. Personally, I love that. I want to see it done. But if they could hold off any celebrations for the week after when I get home, that'd be brilliant. So that has a bit Sam Lee, a live question there on YouTube. Will the Robins Report and Gloucestershire Live start a campaign to have a socially distanced car park festival on the 8th of May? Sadly not, mate. I won't be there. But amazing scenes to watch. I actually watched it on Sam Smith's Instagram live and a bit with Callum Wright as well. And it was just amazing to watch, even that. I mean, you look at the moments that this club's had throughout the years. Obviously, social media wasn't really that big. You just imagine what it would be like if the guys had it then. It'd be absolutely crazy, wouldn't it? So to be able to see it from that point of view as well is great. And you can see how much it means to them and how much it means for them to deliver for us as fans who are not there. It means the world to them, and you can clearly see that. And whatever happens, like I said, whatever happens from here on out, this has been one of the best seasons that you probably could have wished for. That's come at the worst time possible. But it is what it is, and we've got to keep going on. But it wasn't a late one. Then everybody behaved and everybody dispersed as they should have done.
I think some players had a moderately late night, but not. It wasn't an all-nighter. I think some of them had gone after a social drink. A lot of them had to drive home. I think a lot of them don't drink anyway. But it was good to have the players and the directors all mixed in together celebrating. Michael Duff was able to get his family in there due to there being enough numbers for them to have his boys and his wife and his dad was there and his mum was there and Shane was there. So that was a special moment for him. But I think if it had just been the celebrations on the pitch, it was all fine, but it was all a bit choreographed. It was all a bit doing it for the cameras, and the players were obviously enjoying it. That's great, but I think the bit with the fans was the bit that made it a special night. That was what set it aside from just, empty stadium. It just felt a little bit. Well, obviously, a massive part of it was missing.
Yeah,
they'll still have some great memories and photos of that part of the night, especially with Tommy Duff on Ben Tozer's shoulders and Jack Duff was on, I think, Charlie Raglan's shoulders, and that was a nice moment. It was all great, but then they went out into the car park, and that was something quite special. I'm sure everyone who turned out. It's quite funny. George Lloyd said he recognised some of the lads who were there from school. And Finn Clift was there, an ex-Cheltenham Town scholar was there watching as well, so he's turned into a fan now. But it was brilliant. And you could just see the passion and the celebrations in Modern Rec as well. With even before the game had ended, I've seen some footage of that as well. They were obviously enjoying themselves, and
it was mad. It was. It was good. It was good to see. It really was good to see, and everybody behaved, and that's what it's about. And that just goes to show that. I think I saw one comment on Twitter where somebody had a bit of a moan, but it wasn't really anything, to be honest with you. So, big well done to everybody that went and caused the atmosphere there, because it was brilliant to watch, and much deserved. And the players need that as much as the fans did. Let's be honest. Going into the next game now, they're going to have that in the back of their minds. If we go and do this, we're going to go and do it all again with them, and they're going to love it. We need to do it for them. So I think that would be the big motivation from here on out to go and win the title.
Yeah. You said it's the best season at the worst time, and it is, not being able to have fans there for Man City and for the game on Tuesday. But the best thing you can salvage from a season like that is to give the fans a new league to come back to when they're allowed back in August. For Cheltenham Town fans who've missed it so much, to be coming back and going to people at Sheffield Wednesday, possibly Sunderland, definitely Ipswich, possibly Charlton, possibly Portsmouth. That's the best possible way to come back, isn't it? Come back in style with some of the mouth-watering games they got to look forward to. So I think it has been a real shame, crying shame, but what a prospect to come back to. Yeah,
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And Sam there on YouTube says Andy Williams was loving the FGR chants. Yeah, I did see that. That was getting involved with the FGR. Doesn't like him, fitting the mould really, and it's quite good because I did forget to mention actually at the start, and I bet I had. By winning the game and getting promotion, actually, Andy Williams has triggered a clause in his contract to mean he will be around next year. And JP, we've said it time and time again, no matter what you think about him, no matter if you rate him or you don't rate him, you can't deny that what he brings to this team is more than just on the pitch. To have him around as a role model, teaching George Lloyd, he gets to learn off that. That's huge. That's just as good as him scoring 10, 15 goals. Well, in my opinion, obviously it's not, because it's not production on the field, but it's still just as good the fact he's having that impact.
Yeah, it's a nice little story that he was at the club at 15, wasn't he? Went away, had a really good career. He's played in the Championship for Yeovil. He's played in League One for a lot of his career. Funnily enough, his scoring record's better in League One than it is in League Two. Now, I don't think that's just because he's getting a bit older now. I think he's genuinely done well, and he's still very, very fit lad. Spends an insane amount of time, I'm told, stretching and looking after himself and eating the right things. And he doesn't look like an old, he doesn't look like a man that's on the way out. So he's definitely going to be around next season. And he knows what it's all about. Like Matty Blair and Alfie May went up with Doncaster. He's had 4 promotions now, Andy Williams. And he's had 2 in a row. He knows he's been associated with the club for a long time. He obviously was there a long time ago. But yeah, it's a nice little story. Based not too far away. Great character, as a lot of them are. He's one of the best in terms of influence in the dressing room. There's a lot of them, but he's, one of my lasting memories from this season will be Andy Williams when he hasn't been playing. I've never seen anyone contribute so much when they've been on the bench. Will Boyle's contributed a hell of a lot when he's been injured with the kit man and ball boy and everything else he's been doing. But Andy Williams has been the most, and obviously that's partly down to there being no fans in there, so you can hear every word he's saying. But he's like a supporter, friend, cheerleader, advice, everything you could think of from a 34-year-old on the bench. He's not sulking. He's not moping about. He's been brilliant. He's played a massive part. He scored 8 goals, 20 starts. That's not terrible in terms of ratio. Obviously, he's gone on a lot of times. He has missed a couple, but every striker does. And he's, some of the efforts that he's had on goal, and some of the goals he has scored have shown the quality that he's got and the level that he's played at. So, yeah, it's good news. It's good news that he's definitely going to be around. Well, I'm sure he will want to start all 46 games in League One. He might be used sparingly, or he might have to have half and half, almost like 50-50 as he's had this season. But he's definitely a good character to have around, a good influence, and he's still got plenty to offer on the pitch as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I think he's a very good character to have round. I really do. It's a good person. That experience means a lot. In the dressing room, if you've got young players, especially within the situation they're in now, where they are young, they've won promotion. They've been in the progress of trying to achieve promotion all season, and they're getting down to the last 2 games. That experience in the ears of the young lads will spur them on. And not just Lloydie. I mentioned Lloydie because position-wise, you'd think that's probably the guy, the kid that he's probably lending something to, but you've got Alfie as well. Of course, the whole team, it stretches across everybody, even like the guys on loan, Griffo, Finazaz, Callum Wright. Those guys will thrive with a guy like that around, because experience, as we know, is everything. And he played there. He's 11 seasons of his career has been in League One. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
And he's always done well. Every club he's been at, he's had a lot of success. He's played a lot of games. He reached a landmark this season, didn't he, with his 500th? And yeah, he's not just a goal scorer. If he didn't do anything else but put the ball in the net, you might be a bit worried about 8 in 20 starts. So that's not a terrible ratio by any means, but he does contribute a lot more. The goal against Exeter was one of his best moments of the season, wasn't it? That when he came off the bench. But he started the season quite good form, goal scoring form. The goals have been a little bit harder to come by, but then Sam Smith's obviously been starting a lot of games as well. But I think overall, if you look at the permanent signings from last summer, the experienced ones, Blair, Sercombe and Williams, they've all contributed massively on and off the pitch in terms of buying into the standards, and they've all contributed positively on the pitch as well. 3 good signings, and the loanees as well, largely been promising.
Yeah,
a lot of them are going to go on to have good careers. Josh Griffiths, 21 clean sheets, is beaten Steve Book's landmark from the 01-02 season. I think he got 18, which is pretty good. But to get 21, still 2 to go. Beaten the points record this season.
Yeah,
79 now with still 2 to go. It has, like you said, it's definitely been Cheltenham's best ever League 2 season. Whether finishing 17th in League 1 is better than finishing in the top 3 in League 2, probably is. Let's see what they can do next season. Can they set a new landmark there as well? Absolutely.
And that's where the debate started today, actually. We'll get into that a bit later, but where does Michael Duff rank in terms of Cheltenham Town managers, and what would he do to get what does he need to do to get to number 1? But I'll ask you that later, because we'll talk about that. I can see Lee Randall on YouTube's asked a question. Thanks for getting involved, Lee. Anybody else watching want to get involved? Just going to quickly rip through the Newport game, because obviously we have got a game to do. We've got a game on Saturday, but I will get into some questions very shortly. So, JP, looking at Newport then, sort of going to be, for me, I think it's going to be a lot like the Carlisle game. Although Newport are probably in the better position, obviously being 7th, a point ahead of Salford. So their destiny's in their hands. They're 5 points behind Tranmere. They've won 2 of their last 5. They've drawn 2, lost 1. Both of their 2 wins in the last 5, came at home, with 1 on Tuesday night as well, when they comfortably beat Scum 4-0. What are you thinking about this one? Because it's a situation where they're not going to sit back, and they're not going to let us, have our own way. They're going to have to fight in their own right, because I think if they win, they damn near will confirm a playoff spot near enough, barring something ridiculous on the last day. So they've got a lot to play for. What are you thinking ahead of this one?
Yeah, it just shows what League Two's like, really, because every game now Cheltenham seem to have had, from Crawley to Stevenage Stevenage probably one of the only ones Cheltenham played recently that haven't had anything to play for, but obviously Carlisle could have still snuck into the playoffs. Newport look well positioned for the playoffs. I think, like you said, a win will pretty much make sure they're going to be in there, but they'll want to finish as high as they can. They can still catch Tranmere and Morecambe. to finish in the top 4 or 5. And Michael Duff said this morning in the press conference he wouldn't have wanted to go there needing to win. Mm-hmm. But I think the little bit of nerviness, which is understandable, last couple of games, last 2 or 3 games, should be out of the way now. So yeah, Cheltenham want to win the league, but they don't have to go there and get a result. There's no absolute crying shame if they lose the game. I think that's when Cheltenham we might see a bit more of a flowing performance. Then you've got to think about the pitch as well. Will the pitch allow that? Cheltenham haven't got a great record. They won there in the trophy earlier in the season, didn't they, with Ruben Reid's goal, and they've won there in the trophy before, but those games have both been heavily changed teams. So in terms of league games, Cheltenham haven't won there for a long time, since I think Ashley Vincent scored in 13-14, I think was the last time Cheltenham won there. So they always, in my opinion, overachieve Newport. I think if you look at the budget and the problems they've had with the pitch, they're probably never tipped to be up there. A bit like Cheltenham, Cambridge, Morecambe. Then they're probably never tipped to be in the top third. But they always, although they didn't do particularly well last season, they obviously got to the playoff final a few years ago, lost to Tranmere. Flynn is another one of those managers that gets linked with a lot of jobs. So he's done a brilliant job there. He's a Newport lad, isn't he? Yeah. So for them to be looking like they're going to finish in the playoffs again, everyone knows about their FA Cup exploits. They've had some brilliant runs, some brilliant days. And obviously it's fascinating for Ben Tozer. He's played against them before since leaving, but he could have stayed there in the summer of 2018. He turned down a contract to join Cheltenham. And obviously now with the promotion, it looks like he can say that decision was justified. But when he first joined and he was being used as an emergency striker, maybe he thought he might have made the wrong decision, but he's turned out to be a brilliant signing, Ben Tozer. He'll be relishing the chance to go back to his old club. And yeah, in terms of how I see the game going, they 4-0 midweek result, brilliant. Scunthorpe, obviously a pretty poor team at the moment, just about limping over the line to safety, aren't they? Scunthorpe. But it's still a good result, 4-0. I think Cheltenham, I don't expect Cheltenham to turn up sort of hungover and thinking, well, we haven't got to bother because we're already promoted. They'll definitely be professional. They'll definitely be up for it, well prepared. Yeah. I know you're going to ask me for a prediction.
So I will do, but shall I read some stats out to you first?
Read some stats out, if you like, Tom, yeah.
Right, here we go. So, and there's a fair few. So obviously the last time we played them was at our place. You know what happened? That crazy freak goal. And then Matty Blair, obviously just with the last kick in the first half, made it 1-1. That's the way it went out. But what I found interesting, right? There's been 12 league meetings between Town and Newport. Cheltenham have won 2, drawn 3, lost 3, drawn 7. Mm-hmm. In all competitions, we've won 5, drawn 7, lost 4. But in the last 5 league visits to Rodney Parade, we've won 1, drawn 2, and lost 2. And what I find interesting there is Shippers has just got into the chat on Twitter, and he said, "Hi lads, I can't help thinking we'll draw versus Newport and beat Harrogate." Well, if you were to go for a prediction, JP, knowing all that, what are you going to say? Because it to me, and I'll give mine after, but to me, it has got the sense of a draw written all over it. Yeah.
Well, Shippers will probably remember a draw against Newport in '97 when Duff was in the team and Cheltenham got promoted from the Southern League just before the Burton game. Yeah, 0-0 again, 0-0 then as well. So yeah, it's got all the hallmarks of a draw, based on the past records. And I think I agree with Shippers. I think it'll be a draw, and then Cheltenham should have enough to beat Harrogate at home the following Saturday. Yeah. If Cheltenham can go there and win, that would just sum up the sort of mentality. But I think go there and get a point would be a decent result in any circumstances. But yeah, they I wouldn't say Newport have to win the game. Obviously, but obviously they've still got a lot to play for, and they'll want to finish as high as they can in the playoff positions and just cement their place in the top 7. Because there are a few teams, obviously Forest Green, one of them, that can still get back in there. So they don't want to drop out. Exeter got an outside chance still as well. Yeah, and that's it, really, isn't it? So it's probably Exeter and Forest Green and then it's you that could creep in and join Morecambe and Tranmere. So yeah, I think Chippers is right. I'm going to not stick my neck out. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
There's no Tuesday game this week, so we'll talk about what you think's going to happen. But I'm guessing with that, you're predicting a crazy final day of the season, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously, it's a bit of a weird one this week, isn't it? With Cambridge playing Friday night, there's been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of talk about Harrogate being distracted by the trophy final. Are they going to bother on Friday night? I still think it'll be tricky, but Cambridge, Cambridge like Cheltenham probably for most other teams, and for Morecambe, they've constantly surprising everyone. Got the top striker in the division in Paul Mullin, so I probably would expect them to get a result against Harrogate, which will take it.
It's at Harrogate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tough place.
Take it down to the last day. I would imagine it will go to the last day, and I think Cheltenham will get the job done with a win over Harrogate. What did you say, Tom?
I was just saying it's a tough place. Harrogate's a tough place to go.
Yeah.
We know that.
They've been solid this season, haven't they? First season ever in the Football League. They've come from nowhere. They probably would have wanted to be a bit higher, but really, first season in the league, they've been solid. They've not got to worry about getting dragged into relegation trouble at any point, really. If they finish 15th, 16th, 17th, first season in the league, that's better than Cheltenham did when they first got up after the title, wasn't it? So, yeah, I'm sure they'll be a little bit stronger again next season, Harrogate.
Yeah, I think so. And fair play to them. They've had a great season, in my opinion. They really have had a good season. It's a strong foundation to build off. It's put the marker down, and then you've got something to go out and improve on in years. Well, next season, and then seasons to come after that. But in terms of my prediction, I've been thinking about this earlier because I knew we were going to have this conversation. We have it every week where I put you under pressure, but I got to be honest, I'm feeling the pressure this week on this one. I was thinking about it at work, and I was working away. And I just felt pure anxiety inside me. Just not worry. I'm never worried. I've got loads of confidence in the team. I've said it loads of times before. But this one, to me, I've never wanted Town to win a game so badly in my life. I really do. A draw would not be the end of the world. But I just don't want it to go to the final day because I just don't think I'd be able to take it. It's a must. It's not a must win. In the sense of we've still got one more game to go after this and we'd still be in a fair enough position. But I worked out the fact of if we don't win in Cambridge, I think they draw. There's a scenario where we both go on level and they've got a 2-goal swing on us. They play Grimsby final game of the season. Obviously, we play Harrogate and it all goes really messy. And I don't want to be in that situation. So for me, I think it's going to be one of them. Grind it out, 1-0 wins on a pitch that's probably still cutting up a lot. It's a very rough pitch. They play rugby there. And it's a pitch that's not going to be very kind. It's not really going to allow us to play the open attacking football that we want to play, getting down the wings, getting in behind. So I think it's going to be a tough game. It really is going to be a tough game. It's going to be a 1-0 win. Cheltenham is what I'm going for. Everybody in the comments, if you want to put in what you think, I will get it in there and get it up on the screen, and we'll debate what we think. But we've got some questions, JP, before we do shoot. This is a good one. There's one that I've lost. I don't know if I can go back and get it from somebody there, but we'll try and do that. Here we go. I've got it. Sort of somewhere. But we'll do this one while I get it.
Which one was it, Tom? Because I've got a few of the questions here. Which one was it?
Lee Randall.
Yeah, Lee Randall. So
there we go.
Lee Randall's asking about contract situations, isn't he? So do you want me to answer that one?
You might have to, mate. I don't know if I can get to it.
He asked what's the contract situation with some of the players? What positions do you think we need to strengthen to the current squad to be successful in League One? Well, in terms of contracts. Out of contracts, I'll try and remember them all, but Flinders is out of contract. Sean Long is out of contract. Dan Barry, Grant Horton, Lewis Freestone, Chris Clements, Tom Chamberlain.
Matty Blair?
Yeah, Matty Blair. Alex Adai, Tav Campbell. Andy Williams now is obviously definitely going to be here next season. I think that might be it. I think that's it for out of contract. Some I know are obviously, I mean, there's no doubt that Cheltenham want to keep Matty Blair. That's an obvious one.
There it is. Got it. Yeah.
You got it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
in terms of areas to strengthen, I think the goalkeeper situation obviously needs looking at, because Griffiths, Flinders, and Harris have been great this season as a three. And
yeah,
if you're going to rely on a young loanee as your number one again, you don't want nobody in reserve, or you don't want possibly somebody unproven in reserve. But it's been brilliant to have Griffiths doing so well, Flinders to come in when needed, and Max is the sort of development keeper. Even though he's older than Josh, he's obviously learning and progressing and doing well. That you probably wouldn't want to chuck him in at the start of last season when he's very very inexperienced, but he's got potential for the future. So I think they've worked quite well as a three. So it all depends on whether Cheltenham have got any chance of getting Griffiths again, but obviously the goalkeeper situation he's looking at.
Yeah.
Would Cheltenham just, if Griffiths went back to West Brom, would they just put Flinders in Harris as number two? That's another potential one.
It's an option.
Yeah. So, but I think the goalkeeper situation we'll need looking at with Griffiths going back, Flinders out of contract, Harris is out of contract as well. But I think they've worked really well as a three, and I think if those three came back again for pre-season with Griffiths on loan again, because we've gone up to League One, I think most people will be quite happy with that. Definitely needs some attacking, probably attacking reinforcements. So Callum Wright and Finn Azaz are going to, as far as we know, go back to their clubs. So that sort of attacking number 10 central midfielder role, somebody that can create and sit between the midfield and the attack. So up front, Lloyd is contracted, Williams is contracted, May is contracted, but Smith, Adai and Campbell are going to go. Well, presume Smith's going to go. There's a chance that Cheltenham might try and sign him permanently, but as things stand, he's going to go. His loan spell will end. So there'll definitely be room for some attacking. I think if Cheltenham can get... They've got promoted this season without anyone scoring more than 8, so it sounds ridiculous to say they need...
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it sounds ridiculous to say they need a more prolific goal scorer. They went up under John Ward. Again, nobody... I think OJ got 11. That was the highest. So you don't have to have a Holman or a Danny Wright to get promoted, but I think they will be looking for a few more goals from the front end of the team, and obviously Williams, May and Lloyd have a big say in that as well. And then possibly cover for other positions, but I think central midfield, up front, I don't think the defence needs much work. If they decide to keep Freestone, you got cover. I'm not sure what will happen with Barry and Horton. I think they rate Horton very highly. I can see him getting the new contract, but yeah, there'll be tweaks, but we're not going to see a situation where the whole thing gets ripped up and start again, which is what we saw in the past. A lot of the key men are already tied down for at least 1, possibly 2 more years. Hussey is tied down, Raglan, Boyle, Tozer tied down, Thomas is tied down. So most of the ones that we've been talking about in the Player of the Year stakes are tied down. There's no doubt that, in my mind, that Blair will be offered a new contract and will stay, because I think he's absolutely loved it. And he's been one of the absolutely unsung hero of the season, I think. So yeah, I think it will be strengthened, and there will be a few ins and outs, but I don't think it will be a complete overhaul. And I think a lot of them have deserved the chance to give it a go in League One.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I hope we can go out. For me, I hope we can go out and get a striker, somebody that can score goals, because you're going to need that in League One. We know that. We know we're going to need a striker that scores goals. That's not taking anything away from Alf or from Lloydie, but we do need somebody. I feel that we do need to replace Finn and Callum. I think we do need somebody to come in and replace those. Who it is, I don't know. There's no telling. I do kind of hope that Leicester will be very good and let us have right back, just as I think, I hope, but I think we can get Griffiths back. I don't see why it would make no sense for me if West Brom stay up. It would make no sense for me why they'd say, right, let's bring him back in. He's done well, like you mentioned. Incredible record, clean sheets. Whether that's him or what he's got in front of him, it doesn't matter. They're a unit. It works. If we can keep Griff, it'd be absolutely brilliant. And I believe we can get him League One. We give him the League Two experience. Let him come with us, get the League One experience, then take a look at him. If I was Michael Duff, I'd be on the phone now, which I'm sure he is, because he did say when he was asked, when does the planning for summer happen? And he mentioned it. I thought his answer was absolutely brilliant. You'd never stop recruiting. You're always thinking about what next when it comes to players. And I think that's one thing that we will see the benefit of in the summer. So I think the key 3 areas for me are up top, someone in midfield, and obviously a goalkeeper, pretty much like yourself, John. I don't think you could really argue with anything else, if I'm honest.
Could Griffiths have a chance at West Brom if they're in the Championship? Or would he be could he be their number 2 goalkeeper? Who knows? But in terms of if he stayed, if he had the chance to stay, I think Cheltenham would bite West Brom's hand off. It's been a brilliant season for him. They might think he needs another year to develop, but they might think he's ready to come back in and be around the first team if they're in the Championship. But I think that'll be, if Cheltenham can get him back again for another year, that'd be great. So
and that's to say that a Championship team, if West Brom do stay in, that's to say that, Championship team doesn't come after themselves, So there's a lot riding on Griffiths. And I'm sure that we know the fantastic job that the recruitment does. So I don't think we really need to worry too much about that one. But let's go on to the next one.
Okay.
Sam Nair on YouTube. We've done this one, but we will do it because we're good like that. Who do you think will go up in the playoffs? It's Tranmere or Salford for me. JP?
I'm sticking with what I said a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, it's looking... Well, they had a great result midweek in the end. I'm going to stick with Exeter, even though they're 2 places out of the playoffs. I'm sticking with my original prediction because I can't just wait until the last day and then make my decision there. I predicted Exeter a few weeks ago. They are 2 points outside the playoffs with 2 to go, but they've got the best goal difference out of a lot of them in the playoff area. So if they sneak in, I've got a funny feeling they've been in there so many times before. If they sneak in, I reckon they might go all the way. If they don't get in, I'll give you another prediction. But at the moment, I'm sticking with Exeter.
Yeah, I'm the same. You live by the sword, die by the sword. We both said Exeter. I'm staying with Exeter. Although I did say today on Twitter, if they don't get in, I'm going Morecambe. I mean, what a story that would be.
Unbelievable.
Incredible.
Smallest budget in the Football League, and they could be in League One next season. If Morecambe go up, at least Cheltenham won't have the smallest budget in League One.
There's positives in everything, isn't there? I suppose. Oh dear. Just a quick one from Sam again. That's obviously for Saturday. 2-0 Robins. Lee Randall says 2-1 Cheltenham. May and Circum with the goals. I hope so. Cirks he's due another one, isn't he? He's definitely due another goal. I believe. He's
getting closer. He does pick up some great positions. I've been predicting him for weeks now, and he hasn't quite managed to smash one in. But if he does connect with one and it isn't charged down, we're looking at another Callum Wright situation. He's going to be another goal of the season contender because he's got an unbelievable technique on him.
He's got it in the bag, hasn't he?
What a signing he's been.
Incredible. Dave Hastings. This is a good one. And I think this is one we'll probably more focus on at the end of the season, or maybe in the new series, because I don't know what we're going to do at the end of the season yet. But Dave Hastings on YouTube says, what do you think we can expect from Duff versus Cottrell in League One? If you don't mind, I'll just jump straight on this one, JP. You can't compare the two, in my opinion. It's 2 different eras of football. Football's changed a lot in the time since Stevie Cottrell was in charge. And it's just 2 different eras. You can't compare the two. But what can we expect? Early expectations for me. We'll go into it again, like I said, later down the line. But I just want to be... Well, Michael Duff said today that, anything bar not going down is brilliant. It's a bonus. You want to establish yourself. I'm going to say mid-table. I'll be happy mid-table, mid to low table. Not really near the relegation, but not really near the top. I feel would be a strong start, and then you build upon it from then. JP, what are you thinking about that one?
Well, it's going to be great. It's going to be a great occasion for both of them because they had such a good career together, relationship together. Cottrell played a huge part in Duff's getting the chance at Cheltenham after being loaned out, and then getting promoted 3 times, and then obviously took him to Burnley and gave him his big chance in the Championship. Cottrell came in at Shrewsbury this season. They were in the relegation zone. They flew up the table. Obviously, he's been ill. He's missed a lot of the season since January, but he's going to be at the game this weekend, which is one of the best pieces of news that we've had for a long time.
Yes, I was meant to say that.
Cheltenham, absolute all-time greatest legend, Cottrell, at the moment. And he will be, I mean, in terms of the way he transformed the club, I don't think anyone will ever have as big an effect as Steve Cottrell. But Duff, they both like the 3-5-2. They will be both highly competitive. There'll be no friendliness, I'm sure, during the game. There will be before and after the game, but during the game, they'll be absolutely desperate to win. He has faced Cottrell as a player, and I've had a little look, and I think Duff actually, had a good record against Cottrell's teams as a player. I'll have to double check that. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm not 100%, but I think when he was at Burnley, they played Portsmouth, Forest, and Bristol City. I'll have to check that, but I think he did all right against Cottrell as a player. But it'll just be great. It'll be great to see Steve Cottrell back at work, which is what he loves doing. He's the most passionate man about football that I've ever met, and he will be. I'm sure Shrewsbury will be stronger next season. They've shown massive signs of improvement since he went there, and they're going to be, not one of the bigger clubs in League One, are they? But I'm sure they'll be a force next season under him. So Cheltenham against Shrewsbury is going to be a mouth-watering one. He has managed against Cheltenham 5-0 win for Notts County and a 3-1 win for Bristol City in the trophy. So he's not going to want to let Cheltenham get one over him, is he? No chance. There's no sentiment. He's so competitive. It'll just be a great one to look forward to. I look forward to seeing them both on the touchline. Be quite a nice moment for Cheltenham fans. Because they've so much history together. But on the day, they'll be just doing anything they can to get one over the other, and it will be a fascinating occasion.
It's probably going to be one of the battles of the season, that, isn't it? Let's be honest. And it's not even on the pitch either. It's in the dugout. It's going to be one of the battles of the season. I can't wait for the lead up in the week to it, because you know what it's like. It'll all be nice words, kind words, and then on the day it's just going to be a bit of battle, and then after it'll be whatever happens. But yeah, great news about Steve Cottrell today. Absolutely brilliant news. Can't wait to see him back in the dugout the weekend.
Absolutely right. He's one of the best in the business at 3-5-2, really. Bristol City won the double 3-5-2, and he's tactically very, very clever. So it'll be a great test for Duff. Great test for Duff. Yeah. Probably be a tactical, mastermind, really. It'll probably be one of those fascinating chess match type games.
It's got 0-0 written all over it.
Yeah, probably. Well, they're both very well organised as well, so I can't see it being 4-3 or anything like that. But yeah, just look when the fixtures come out. I'll be looking for Shrewsbury, and then I'll start looking at some of the other huge clubs in that league. But Shrewsbury will be a special day for everyone connected with Cheltenham and for Duff and Cottrell as well. Yeah,
definitely. And we'll take this one as the final one, because I know it's getting on now. Then we both need to get our dinner. It's like that on a Thursday. We always end up. It's like, I'm going to go get dinner now. It's like, yeah, me too. But Shippers on Twitter asked, no danger of Duffo go anywhere, do you think, lads? I was thinking about this today at work, actually, because he keeps saying, I've heard it in the interviews the last couple of days. He always keeps repeating, whether I'm sacked tomorrow or I move on, no matter what happens, Cheltenham's always home. I'm thinking, don't say that. You don't need to say things like that. But no, for me personally, I think until Sean Dyche is out of Burnley, I don't think Duffo's going anywhere, mate. To be honest, I don't know how you feel about that, JP.
I think there's a lot more chance at the moment of him going on to a bigger job than there is him getting sacked, even though he keeps mentioning it. I think he'd have to do. Well, I just can't see him being sacked because of what he's done already. And if he keeps going about his business as he has done, it's only going one way. I think to answer Shipper's question, I think there is a massive danger of him going, but I don't think it will be yet. I think he'll want to go. He'll start being mentioned for jobs all over the place now because of what he's done at Cheltenham on a modest budget. So we're going to have to get used to that, as we did when Steve Cottrell was manager. John Ward got snapped up by Carlisle, didn't he? And we've had
he did.
Steve Cottrell was linked with all sorts of jobs. But Michael Duff was linked with all sorts of clubs when he was a player at Cheltenham. Liverpool, Preston, loads of other clubs were looking at him. And in the end, he stayed for probably longer than anyone thought and got his job to Burnley, got his move to Burnley and did brilliantly for them. So I think he will be very careful about his next role. He knows he's safe. He's a legend. He lives in Cheltenham. His wife's family are from Cheltenham. His parents have moved to Cheltenham. He won't walk out on us to go and join a club that isn't any bigger or isn't in a higher division. But if he does go to a bigger club, everyone will say, "Brilliant, you've transformed this club. Go and have a great career," and he will do. But I don't think it will happen yet. But we're just going to have to get used to him being up there in the odds of all the jobs that come up in the summer, and then after the first few games, when there's always a few jobs that are lost, he's going to be in there now. So it will happen. It will happen. I can't see him being sacked. I think he will leave the club to go on to a bigger job. but I don't think it will be this summer.
No, I don't think it'll be this summer. I think we will get at least. I don't think it happened in the summer. I don't think it happened January. I think we'll get at least one season out of Michael Duff in League One. I think teams that are looking at him now have seen what he's done with us at League Two level. They'll want to see, right, what can he do at the next level? And of course, that's not to say that a job doesn't come available mid next season where it is a step up and they go, right, Cheltenham are doing well. It depends on our start, of course. Cheltenham are doing all right. We saw what they can do in League Two. Let's go get him. So I agree with you. I don't think it'll happen this summer. I hope and I think that we'll get 1 year out of him in League One at least. What's he contracted for now? Still two? Is it still two or three?
Another 2 years, I think.
Another two. I think we'll get at least one more.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
I suppose the club now he's sorry, Tom, but I was just going to say now we've been promoted. I think he will probably be offered a longer contract anyway.
Yeah, you think so?
Not that they weren't pleased with what he was doing anyway, but I think now the job has been done. I think the club will be mad not to tie him down for longer, and he will probably take it because it's a precarious job. So he will probably give himself that security of a longer contract at Cheltenham, and then whether he sees out the contract or not depends who comes knocking. But Cheltenham will get compensation if appropriate. But yeah, I think he deserves now to be kept on for a little bit longer, or have that longer contract for that security. I think he's earned it more than earned it over the last couple of seasons. Yeah, no, definitely, I agree. One final comment because we have to mention him because we haven't mentioned him so far. Gav Garthwaite, I've got your Echo copy today, Tom. Cheers, Gav. I'm away for those that don't know. I'm not around, so I had to send somebody the scramble to get me an Echo, so I didn't miss out on that one today. So if you haven't got one already, make sure you do go and get one. I haven't seen it yet, so I couldn't tell you what it's all about, but I got the gist of it. It's a promotion special. We know how special they are. I've got loads of the previous ones, so another one to the list. But I'll see you on Twitter. 30k and a packet of pork scratchings for compensation. Yeah, I'd like to think Cheltenham will get a little bit more than that now.
Yeah, I'd like to think so, but what a way to end it. Thanks for that one. JP, thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully the next time we talk, we're a little bit closer.
Hopefully. Yeah, enjoyed it. Thanks everyone for comments.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it. Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, thanks for everybody for watching. First ever live recorded episode. Shared it with you guys. Thought we had to share this one. What a week it's been, everybody. Honestly, it's incredible. And it's not finished yet. 2 more games to go. Depending how things go on Friday night with Cambridge, could be 1. But look, 2 more games to go between Cheltenham and putting history on top of history. So again, I've been your host, Tom Wade, alongside John Palmer. This has been the Robins Report. And until next time, come on, you Robins!
Enjoy your dinner, Tom.
I will, mate, and you.